Now on Consciousness Matters, we join the host accompanied by Alice, Bob, Carol and Darren on the Mind Body Problem quiz show. You know physical states. Wood, IKEA furniture, particles, physics. And you know mental states. I can't show you them, they're in your head. Well, we think they are. We try and work out how they're related. This is the Mind Body Problem quiz show. Please welcome Alice and Bob. Their buzzer goes like this. Please also welcome Carol and Darren. Their buzzer goes like this. Now, the game board. We have mental and physical. We have real and illusory. And we have causality one way, causality the other way, no causality and bidirectional causality. Overall, we have 16 tiles on the board that makes up every single possible answer to the mind-body problem. And now, our panellists will seek to eliminate them, slowly progressing towards the ultimate answer to the mind-body problem. Round 1. Name that philosopher. Question 1. Which philosopher is best known for the simulation hypothesis? Carol and Darren's team.
Nick Bostrom.
Right! Well done, Carol and Darren's team. Now, can you put that knowledge to use to eliminate anything from the game board?
He put forward the idea that we are all living in a simulation, a virtual reality, because, given enough time, we will be able to create lifelike simulations of reality, and that this has probably already happened.
Didn't Elon Musk say the chances of us being in base reality were really small?
There has to be a base reality, doesn't there? I mean, there could be a stack of illusionary worlds, simulation on simulation, but Bostrom's idea still requires an original base reality. And I agree, Bostrom is indeed a fine fellow, and simulation or not, we need a base reality.
Yes, definitely yes. This can't just be a trip I'm having with nothing underneath.
Something has to be real.
Are you ready to defend that as your answer?
Yes.
Excellent! Alice and Bob, would you like to challenge? Bear in mind that if you fail your challenge, you will lose points.
Yes, we'd like to challenge.
Really?
No.
I see what you did there. So, Carol and Darren, well done! For an additional point, can you name me a famous proponent of the philosophy you've just eliminated?
Does anyone believe that nothing is real and tell people about it?
No one our lazy researchers could find. Ha ha! If they do exist, one thing we can be confident about is that they're not real, or at least they don't think they are.
My head hurts.
Hard luck, Carol and Darren's team, on the additional point. But you still scored 40 points, bringing you soaring into the lead. Computer, eliminate mind-body problem solutions where nothing is real and all is illusion. Question 2. Which philosopher is best known for Cartesian dualism? Carol and Darren's team.
Well, surely it was the well-known Cartes.
I don't think I'm going to give you that one. Alice and Bob's team.
Rene Descartes?
Yes, indeed it is. And can you think of a way of arguing from this position to eliminate anything on the game board? Keep in mind you're only allowed to use one principle.
Well, he was famous for saying, I think, therefore I am, wasn't he?
Yes, indeed he was.
Well, if I think, therefore I am, then he's saying we can't think without being a thing that does the thinking. What is the thing that does the thinking?
I think you've just captured the essence of the mind-body problem. He believed that mind and body were two separate substances, and that made the world.
Hasn't science shown a lack of support for Cartesian dualism, though?
Well, science hasn't got a wide support for any one model of consciousness as we understand it. I mean, physics doesn't require your feelings as a part of its equations as to how the world works, does it?
Are you trying to say that I don't matter?
No, I'm trying to say there's no understanding to say how your consciousness makes you say one thing over anything else. We can just blame the brain for everything and say the consciousness is just along for the ride. And you smell, Darren.
Oh, now my feelings are hurt.
Sorry. My brain made me do it. I'm not in control.
Yeah, but if you take that position, then no one has any real choice or responsibility.
Nonsense. We can all pretend and that will do just fine.
I'm not sure.
I am going to have to press you for an answer, Alice and Bob.
I don't think I want to be squashed.
Just think of it as an opportunity not to lose perfectly good points that I think your team could definitely get with this.
We're going to say that thinking you exist requires a you to think you exist. And that was what we thought Descartes really meant. So there's no way that the mind could be illusory.
I couldn't have put it better myself.
Are you ready to defend that as your answer?
Yes.
Very good. Carol and Darren, would you like to challenge?
We're not really going to challenge, but we are going to create the illusion of challenging.
Indeed, it's clearly nonsense. It's entirely possible mind might just be a complex emergent behaviour of physics, and that's an illusion.
Now whose feelings aren't real?
Nice. I'm going to award a bonus point there to Alice. So, Carol and Darren, you're not going to make a real challenge then?
It would be quite self-defeating.
Wait, I don't get this. The use of the word illusion is very ambiguous. Do we mean the mind isn't what it appears? That sort of illusion where you see something incorrectly? Or is it the sort of illusion where it's not actually there?
Darren, you know the stories of people in a hot, dry desert. Their car has broken down and they're trying to make it to the next town. It's hot and dry and they've been walking for ages. They see an oasis, lush greenery and water, and they run towards it in hope. And it turns out it was just their mind playing tricks on them. It's that sort of illusion we're talking about. He's saying that the idea you have there is a subject of experience, that there's a you to have an experience. That is an illusion the brain creates for itself purely out of physical systems. No extra mind stuff required.
What, so I'm not seeing any of these colours right now because I don't really exist? I just talk like I exist? Am I getting this right? I is just the way the brain talks about its inner state? There is no consciousness, just the illusion of consciousness from the outside.
Depends on how you define it, but I think you've got it.
Does it take a lot of drugs to think you don't exist?
None of the good ones make you do that. But it might depend on your state of mind.
I take it you guys aren't going to carry this on as a challenge now then?
Nope.
And with that, we apply the argument. Let's look at the game board. Computer, remove all possible mind-body hypotheses where mental states are an illusion. And we do mean not really there. It just looks like they're there.
You didn't need to go into that extra detail. I'd already got it from following the quiz.
Shut up, you.
That hurts my feelings.
You don't have feelings. You're a 12.1 gigabyte computer software package.
Now I'm really upset.
Anyway, beautiful work there. And to finish up with an additional point, can you name me a famous proponent of the philosophy you've just eliminated?
Daniel Dennett.
That's correct! Daniel Dennett is well known for publishing a book in 1991 titled Consciousness Explained, where he then explained there was no mysterious mystical thing called consciousness, and that it was all just the behaviour of mechanisms throughout physics and the natural world, obeying basic laws. Well known for saying that we're robots made of robots made of robots. Many people feel this wasn't an explanation for consciousness at all. This means that Carol and Darren are holding valiantly at 40 points, and Alice and Bob have squeaked into the lead with 42 points!
42, the meaning of life.
Ah, but what's the question?
Is that the next question?
No, it's not the next question.
It kind of is.
Quiet, you.
I think we're going to have to build a huge computer to figure out what the question is.
Round 2. First dibs round. When I say each team gets a chance to buzz in and put forward their own theory for eliminating options with one principle. Now! Carol and Darren's team.
Epiphenomenalism. That's all the rage. The physical world affects the mental world, but the mental world doesn't affect the physical world. All of the scientists believe in it.
I don't think it's all the scientists, Darren.
All of the credible scientists believe in it.
I feel like you're being smarmy about this, Darren.
Am I? Hadn't noticed. I know it's an unpopular position, but it does make a lot of sense scientifically speaking.
But it's not like we have logically eliminated the notion that our consciousness can change the world.
Sorry, my brain made me do it. I'm not in control.
It's that one again, isn't it?
I'm afraid so. Darren, do you want to submit this hypothesis for peer review?
Yup, let's do it.
Alice and Bob's team.
I challenge.
So, Alice is challenging this hypothesis. Alice, put forward your challenge.
If we've already ruled that mind is real, then how can we be talking about it in the physical world if the mind has no impact on the physical?
Oof! Darren!
What if our mind isn't an illusion, but it's a reflection of the physical world, unable to change it? That would explain all your behaviour.
Property dualism. Nice.
Hey, you're supposed to be on my team here, Bob.
I can appreciate an argument against us.
Okay, so sure, you could explain most behaviours, except why do we talk about inner subjectivity if it's real, but doesn't affect the physical? If you agree that you have this special inner subjective conscious mental experience, that requires mind, and we talk about that in the physical world. You can't deny that. Unless we just so happen to be behaving as if we're conscious, and we are conscious, but somehow we're not able to talk about it from consciousness. Which sounds pretty convoluted to me. Why not just accept the inner subjectivity can talk about itself by communicating through the physical world?
I think she's got you licked there, Darren.
Yeah. So what? All those scientists are wrong?
I think that the trouble is that science is primarily concerned with objective understanding, whereas acknowledging there's an inner subjective experience, a conscious moment happening for you, as if you were behind your eyes experiencing life, that is just a radically different kind of thing than behaviour. However, when studied instead of trying to study the inner subjective thing, many try to get an objective grasp of it, and so only end up with behaviours of objective things.
What are you, a monk?
He's been doing ayahuasca again in the Brazilian forest, hasn't he?
So, Darren, can you explain how, if consciousness is real and can't affect the physical world, how it can talk about itself to other consciousness?
No, you got me. Does this mean I'm responsible for everything now?
No one's really claiming to understand what consciousness can do here, beyond talk about itself.
So, that's a hypothesis, a challenge, and a defeat. Looking at the game board, that would have netted you 60 points, leaving only 2 options on the board. But instead now, those points go to Alice and Bob. This soars Alice and Bob up to 102 points, while Carol and Darren lag behind at 40. Computer, Epiphenomenalism doesn't make sense rationally. Let's eliminate it from the board! Time for another hypothesis. Go for your buzzers! Carol and Darren's team.
I'm going to redeem myself. I've got one I don't think anyone's going to argue with. How can the physical and the mental possibly have no causal effect on each other?
Good spot. I'm going to move this on. Does anyone want to challenge that?
Nope.
This gives Carol and Daryl that much-needed 20-point boost up to 60 points. Still a little way off Alice and Bob's 102, though. Computer, eliminate all mind-body problem solutions where there's no causal effect at all between states. We have 4 viable solutions remaining. Things are hotting up. Can we crack the mind-body problem? It's time to zoom the board!
Aren't we supposed to talk and say more funny things?
I don't know, Darren just tried to argue that he wasn't in control of his actions as a conscious entity. That was pretty funny.
Now. This is an intellectual safe space. We can explore ideas that might sound funny here. It's always good to question.
Now I feel like you're moralising.
It does sound a bit preachy, doesn't it? Though, it does seem nice that we should be able to talk seriously about weird ideas, giving them their due respect and thought. We shouldn't be afraid to examine illusionism just because it sounds awful. We should be able to logically interrogate the idea seriously.
Okay.
Time for another hypothesis. Go for your buzzers! Carol and Darren's team, again!
The idea that the physical world doesn't cause mental experiences is crazy.
Alice and Bob, do you want to challenge?
Nope.
And just like that, Darren picks up 20 points for Carol and Darren's team, giving them 80 points against Alice and Bob's 102. Nail-biting stuff. Carol and Darren's team are really catching up fast, but will they overtake Alice and Bob? Computer, remove all possible mind-body problems where the physical doesn't affect the mental. Well, I'll be. We've got only 2 solutions to the mind-body problem left. Can we make history tonight, people? It's still very much anyone's game as we head into the final round. Though, Carol and Darren's team really need to get those points coming in.
Now, hang on a minute. Are we seriously expected to reason our way entirely to the solution to the mind and body problem? Something intellectuals have disagreed about for centuries?
I don't see why not. I mean, it's got to have a logical answer, right? Surely the important thing is the journey of reasoning it through for yourself. Testing your reasoning out. Sharing your reasoning with others. In any case, it's round 3. We only have 2 viable options left on the game board from our team's arguments and challenges. We've stopped expecting anyone to have a hypothesis as to how we can advance things at this point. Instead, we're asking our contestants to provide names of people who believe in each different hypothesis. Each correct name and matching philosophy will get the team 5 points. However, now we get the option that ends the game. The final elimination. Contestants get to suggest the ultimate solution to the mind-body problem. Get it right, you get 50 points, and in this game, you win. Don't give a completely convincing answer, and the other team will pick up those 50 points. Needless to say, you lose. It gets very high stakes here, if you want to go there. It's probably best we just start naming philosophers.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to argue that the physical is illusory and only the mind is real.
Okay, Alice, do go on.
Well, in what we've got left, the mind has to be real and it has to be affecting what we see as the physical world. So we've only got 2 options left. The physical world is real or it's illusory. Well, it's like Donald Hoffman said. Why should we have evolved to see the truth about reality? Haven't our brains ditched the truth to favour evolutionary fitness payoffs instead?
Conscious realism. Got it.
Yeah, but we can get to the truth through science, right?
Right, but the patterns we see aren't necessarily the result of a real world being there. It could just be the creation of another mind. All of physics. Everything. Then you'd only need one sort of stuff in reality. Everything would be made out of mind stuff. You should check out Conscious Realism by Donald Hoffman.
Yes, you should check out Conscious Realism.
Yes, you should check out Conscious Realism.
I challenge. This is easy, because the physical world is 13.8 billion years old to our best knowledge, and none of us are past, 50? We can't be any more real than the universe we came out of.
Right, but if you say that you're revealing that you believe that the mind just sort of pops into existence with brains, that's like the universe suddenly has a whole new category of thing where it didn't exist before.
Sounds like emergence.
No, because emergence is about complicated behaviours emerging from simple behaviours. At least, weak emergence is. Everyone can agree that weak emergence is a thing, and we can get the brain from weak emergence. What we need to describe mind is something more than behaviour. We need conscious feeling. Sentience. If that just pops into existence, you're suggesting strong emergence. Which is weird because that new emergent entity has to affect reality. That means we're like a brand new force that suddenly rips into existence from nowhere at 13 plus billion years in. If you ask me, that's a crazy claim.
Next, you'll be telling us we're all one consciousness, subjectively experiencing itself.
That is a thing I would say.
So how do you solve the problem? It still looks like mind just started to exist with brains.
Well, if we act on the world and aren't just behaviours, then we're probably something like a fundamental force or a selector of possible realities. It's like the universe is a giant mind, and you're in a piece of it that got partially disconnected from the rest for a bit.
Has anyone got any marijuana?
I'm afraid we don't allow that on this show, Darren. Not until we get enough Patreon subscribe-style money to hold it in Amsterdam.
Oh, are you really going to buy this hippie nonsense?
If you acknowledge you're a conscious force or selector on the universe, then it's hard not to presuppose you're actually fundamental. And it's the brain that is giving you this illusion of being an individual person. Though we may just have spent too long playing the quiz show and maybe my mind is melting. However, the point of the challenge was to demonstrate that the idea of the physical world being illusory was false. Because we came after it, yes?
Yes, it was.
Well, I don't buy the idea that inner subjectivity spurts into existence spontaneously with brains. It reeks of spontaneous generation all over again, and that didn't work the first time. So, your direct point I don't agree with. However, despite how metaphysically crazy and interesting it's all got, I'm still very happy to see the physical world as real, not an illusion.
What is real?
Oh, no.
What's that? The buzzer for the end of the show! So, I'm making a ruling. As beautiful as that spiritual mantra was, I'm not convinced by your philosophy, Alice and Bob. I accept that I'm a different thing to physical matter, that I'm a feeling process of some sort that affects the world. But you're not convincing me that the physical world isn't in at least some sense objectively real. Based on your argument, I'm afraid I'm not prepared to dive in at the deep end.
But now you need to explain the universe with two sorts of stuff, instead of it being unified.
That's the price I'm happy to pay. And with that, 50 points go to Carol and Darren, catapulting them into the lead with 130 points. Alice and Bob not far behind with 102. Carol and Darren are the winners! We've narrowed it down to two possibilities, but we can't be sure which one is true. Philosophical interactionism, a form of dualism, is still a possibility. Idealism, where only mind is real, is still a possibility. Not bad, everyone. Now, earlier, I tasked you with bringing in a funny picture and a title. Alice and Bob, can we see what you've brought in?
Daniel Dennett thinks himself out of existence. It's a good job we don't have superpowers, really, isn't it?
How do we know he hasn't done that with his own consciousness already? I mean, maybe he's thought himself into actually being a philosophical zombie.
Okay, so that's disturbing. We should probably just assume he's confused.
Oh, of course. For the attention of everyone, we would like to assert that Daniel Dennett is indeed conscious, even if he's confused about it. He should be afforded ethical and moral consideration. So, Carol and Darren.
Well, we were preparing for the quiz by reading Sam Harris's work.
Indeed we were.
And we got to thinking that Sam Harris believes in inner subjectivity, but not the subject of experience.
So we thought the title of his next book should just be Irreducible Ivity.
Wait a moment, what about the talk Sam gives about why we don't eat owls?
His argument against free will.
And I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut you off there, rather ironically, because we've reached the end of the show! All that remains is me to thank Alice and Bob, Carol and Darren, and you for watching. Good night! Hello, I'm Matthew, the creator of the Mind Body Problem quiz show. This is what I did during lockdown. So I've tried to squeeze as much of the most exciting and interesting philosophy as I can into the quiz, but obviously it's only 25 minutes long. I mean, how long can I keep talking for? Well, I answered that question when I tried to turn all of the things I'd learned over many years into a lecture series, and that turned out at about 3.5 hours over 4 lectures. So you can dive into that if you're really brave and you want to really head straight at it, or you can just subscribe, relax, and see what comes along.